3 Japanese urban legends. The devil counts the plates. In an ancient mansion nestled deep within a dense forest, where towering old trees created a mystical and romantic scene, the classic beauty of the mansion reflected the grandeur and power of ancient families. The mansion, built from earthy red bricks with grand stone columns and thick walls, appeared from afar like a majestic old castle, its glossy red-tiled roof crowning the top and creating a magnificent image of pride and opulence. On a cold evening, the moonlight shone through the windows, casting specks of light on the dining table in one of the rooms. There, a maid named Lan, a kind and diligent woman who had served the wealthy family for many years, was preparing dinner. Unfortunately, she accidentally broke one of the precious porcelain plates from a set of 10. The sound of the porcelain crashing to the floor shattered the silence in the room. The maid quickly used a cloth to pick up the pieces, feeling scared and anxious. The master cherishes this porcelain set. I'm sure I'll be severely punished, she thought to herself, unaware that a broken plate would cost her life. The mansion's master, Mr. Thang, was a wealthy and powerful man, strict and stern, who did not tolerate any mistakes, especially from servants like Lan. Hearing the crash, he approached the room. Seeing the shattered pieces on the floor, anger and dissatisfaction immediately appeared on his face. Lan, Mr. Thang called, his voice carrying an undeniable severity. What's this? Lan turned around, her eyes filled with fear. I'm sorry, master. I broke a plate. I'm really very sorry. Mr. Thang looked at her with cold eyes. This set of plates is a family treasure, passed down through generations. Breaking one means ruining the entire set. Lan, do you understand that this cannot be undone? Lan nodded timidly, unable to look him in the eye, feeling deeply remorseful for her carelessness. Unfortunately, Lan, you know the house rules. I cannot tolerate the destruction of such a valuable asset, Mr. Thang said, his voice steely and cold. In an instant, Lan's emotions became chaotic. She couldn't believe what was happening. As she tried to apologize and promised it would never happen again, Mr. Thang turned away, took the sword hanging on the wall, drew it from its sheath, and stabbed it straight into her heart. Lan couldn't react in time. She fell to the floor, blood gushing from the deep wound in her chest. Mr. Thang glanced at her once, then turned his back, leaving horror for the witnessing servants. The poor maid's body was thrown into the well in the backyard, but death was not the end. The injustice and hatred drove Lan's spirit back from the other world. Unable to accept her meaningless death, she decided to seek revenge on the one who had wronged her. Lan's ghost wandered the mansion, making the atmosphere colder and gloomier. Faint lights and the slow footsteps on the empty floors filled the other servants with fear and confusion. Mysterious supernatural phenomena began to occur. Furniture shook, items fell from high places, unexpected fires flared up without any clear cause, and strange noises echoed at night. These events not only terrified those living in the mansion, but also made them question their safety in this ominous place. Thang, the master who had killed her in a fit of rage, also began to feel fearful and uneasy. At night, he was haunted by bloody visions of Lan in his dreams. Waking up with a start, he would see her shadow cast on the doorway. The eerie counting of plates in the night grew more mournful and chilling. 1 plate, 2 plates, 3 plates, 4 plates, 5 plates, 6 plates, 7 plates, 8 plates, 9 plates. Why is one still missing? The maid's shadow drew closer amid Thang's screams. In a panic, Thang ran madly to the back of the mansion. Lan's ghost began her bloody chase. She glided effortlessly, keeping pace with his frantic steps, her eyes filled with vengeful fury, reflecting the dark essence of a wronged soul. The backyard, dark and ominous, seemed like a nightmare to Thang. Suddenly, he let out a painful cry. Thang had slipped and fallen on the moss-covered ground. In the dim darkness, he clutched the edge of the old well, forgetting it was where Lan's body had been disposed of. By the time he realized it, it was too late. In a moment of horror, He felt himself losing balance and being pulled forcefully into the well. The sound of his body crashing echoed through the peaceful night. At the bottom of the well, Len's body, thrown there after her unjust death, lay silently next to her master. Two bodies, one dead and one dying, finally reunited in the endless night of loneliness and despair. The bloody tale of the ghost and her revenge ended, but its traces remained vividly in the minds of those who witnessed it. On quiet, late nights, somewhere in the mansion, the mournful counting of plates could still be heard. 1 plate, 2 plates, 3 plates, 4 plates, 5 plates, 6 plates, 7 plates, 8 plates, 9 plates. Why is one still missing? Mountain Demon. On a damp and gloomy evening, a lone traveler with a backpack walked along the road through a dense forest. The traveler was a young person seeking new adventures in life. However, as the sun slowly set in the west and night began to fall, the traveler gradually lost his sense of direction and became lost in the forest. He kept moving forward, but the darkness around him grew thicker. The weak beam of his flashlight was no longer bright enough to clearly illuminate the path. He felt a surge of anxiety and fear. The eerie night forest, filled with the sounds of insects echoing everywhere, sent chills down his spine. He had no idea how much time had passed, only that it felt like an eternity. Suddenly, he spotted a light in the distance. So, I'm not alone. There are still people around here, he thought to himself. He quickly approached and discovered a small lodge in the middle of the forest. The wooden house, somewhat old and dilapidated, gave him a bit of hesitation. However, the light from inside made the place seem more reliable. Hoping to find shelter for the night, he knocked on the door. Within 5 seconds, an old woman's voice called from inside. "Who's there?" The traveler quickly responded, "Excuse me, could I stay here for the night? I got lost, wandered here, and need a place to rest overnight." The old door slowly opened, revealing an elderly woman. Her face was full of wrinkles, but her eyes were sharp and bright. She gave a friendly smile and said, "Of course, you can come in, but remember, you shouldn't go outside tonight. This forest holds unforeseen dangers." The traveler felt fortunate to have encountered such a kind old woman. He quickly stepped inside. Before him was a cozy space with a warm fireplace, a rocking chair, and a simple wooden dining table. He felt more comfortable and reassured. "Thank you so much," he said to the old woman. "I've been lost in the forest for who knows how long." The old woman smiled kindly and said, "It's nothing. You can rest here in the room on the left. But remember, don't go outside after the moon rises." The traveler found the warning a bit odd, but exhausted from wandering the forest for so long, he decided not to dwell on it and quickly headed to the room she indicated. He placed his backpack by the door, lay down on the bed, and let his body relax after a long day of wandering. He didn't know how long he had been asleep when he began to hear strange noises from outside. The sound of steady footsteps and the scraping of a knife. Scratch, scratch. He opened his eyes but couldn't move his body. He trembled, fear spreading through his body, his chest heaving as the image before him became clearer in the flickering candlelight. The silhouette of a woman cast on the door. A hunched woman with a sharp nose and a sharp knife in her hand. The door slowly creaked open, and the traveler saw clearly the face of the bizarre woman. It was none other than the old woman from earlier, but the feeling about her had completely changed. No longer were there sharp eyes and a kind smile. Her eyes now burned like fire, looking as if they wanted to devour their prey whole. She grinned, her mouth stretching to her ears, an undeniable wickedness. "Ha ha, poor lost traveler," she said in a raspy, airy voice. "You've fallen into my hands." The traveler shook violently, but his body remained stiff as a stone. He knew he had to find a way to escape this dangerous place. But how? Suddenly, the moonlight shone through the window, casting directly on the old woman. She screamed in agony. The traveler felt strength return to his body, and immediately, he sprang up and dashed out of the lodge, Without daring to look back, he ran with all his might. He knew he had to escape this dangerous place and could no longer trust anyone. Finally, he collapsed from exhaustion, unaware of how much time had passed. The traveler awoke to the sound of birds singing and light all around. He didn't know when he had run out of the forest. Joy filled his heart. Following the edge of the road, he saw a car passing by and eagerly flagged it down. Sitting in the car, the traveler couldn't avoid feeling tired and decided to take a nap. But when he awoke, he found himself still in the room, in that dilapidated house. His hands and feet were tied, unable to move. Outside, the sound of a knife scraping. Scratch, 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 scratch. Faceless demons. The city at night is a vivid painting of light, with shimmering streaks cascading onto the concrete and glass surfaces of towering buildings. The neon and street lights create a vibrant array of colors, evoking a sense of grandeur and liveliness. Street sides are illuminated by dim lights and traffic signals that twinkle like stars in the night sky. The continuous flow of traffic forms trails of light stretching through the darkness. Laughter and music from bars and restaurants add to the lively and dynamic atmosphere. However, not every part of the city is bright and prosperous. Small alleys and dark corners are the haunts of dangerous elements and unexplained mysteries. No matter how bright the street lights are, they can dispel the shadows in these hidden places. The darkness in a thriving area creates a mysterious and eerie space, where secrets and dangers lurk. In this bustling and stressful city, there is a man named Try, an office worker at a large company. Each day, Try's life is steeped in the pressures of work and an unhappy personal life. One evening, after a tiring day and a scolding from his boss, Try decided to go drinking to alleviate his worries. He stepped out of the office, merging into the crowded streets. As night fell, Try felt his troubles lessen, and with each drink, he became more reckless. After downing several strong drinks, Try paid his bill and left the bar. Under the influence of alcohol, he had completely lost his self-control and clarity. His steps were no longer steady, but rather wobbly and unbalanced. Try decided to walk home, singing tunes that had no melody and words that made no sense as he went. When he reached a dark corner, his sluggish steps halted, and he turned to look into the darkness. The light from the street lamp flickered in his drunken stupor, and in that moment, he saw the figure of a woman sitting by a lamppost. She had her head down, hugging her knees, her back turned to him, and her shoulders shaking. The girl had a frail, delicate figure, long hair cascading down her back, and pale skin. Her sobs echoed in the quiet night, like cries for help shrouded in agony, akin to the ceaseless laments of a small person trapped in hardship. Try felt the loneliness and helplessness of the girl. He stopped, compassion swelling within him, and quickly decided that he couldn't ignore this sorrowful sight. Try, staggering and unsure, approached the girl with a look of respect and concern, wondering if he could help her in any way. "Excuse me," Try said, his voice gentle but tinged with confusion and pity. Are you okay?" Hearing his inquiry, the girl cried even louder. Try was flustered, unaware that he was falling into a sinister and cruel trap. Can I help you with anything?" Try asked, his breath faintly carrying the scent of alcohol and cigarettes. In his hazy drunkenness, he felt a pang of sympathy for the loneliness and sorrow the girl was experiencing. The girl finally spoke, her voice choked with sadness. I don't know what to do. I'm so miserable. Can you help me with something?" Before his mind could catch up, his heroic nature took over, and Try quickly answered without considering the consequences. "Sure. What can I do for you?" The girl, with tear-filled eyes and trembling lips, gently lifted her head to look into Try's eyes. Her face was partially hidden by her long hair, creating a chilling scene. Try's heart skipped a beat as he faced that gaze, a strange and eerie feeling rising from deep within him. At that moment, she asked Try in a soft, airy voice, "Tell me, is my face beautiful?" When the girl raised her head, pulling back her hair that covered her face, Try was struck with a horrifying fear. His drunkenness instantly vanished. His heart pounded wildly, from shock to fear, trembling at what he saw. The girl had no face, only a dark, ominous void. There were no eyes, nothing but deep, dark hollows that seemed ready to engulf everything. This created an undeniable horror that would make anyone shudder. Her smile, if it could be called that, was unlike any smile Try had ever seen before. It was not a smile of happiness or mockery, but a smile of danger and cunning. It was a smile without eyes, without a mouth, simply a bizarre distortion in the dark void of her face. Looking at it, Try felt a coldness seep into every cell of his body. He couldn't believe that in this luxurious and modern city, he could encounter such a terrifying entity. It was a horror that should not exist in the real world. Yet it was appearing before him like an inescapable nightmare. Realizing the eerie and terrifying nature of the faceless girl, Try immediately took a step back, his mind filled with panic and fear overwhelming his senses. He felt trapped in a nightmare from which he couldn't escape. As the girl approached, persistently asking about her face with her eerie smile, Try could no longer bear it. His survival instinct took over, and he quickly turned around, fleeing from the horrifying scene. His run was frantic, devoid of thought or choice. The streetlights seemed to rush past, his footsteps a desperate attempt to escape the haunting figure. Not knowing how far he had run, Try was relieved to see a food cart ahead. There are people, thank goodness, he thought. A small light shone from the corner of the cart, revealing the figure of the vendor washing dishes. Try ran closer, trying to catch his breath and hastily recounting, "Sir, I just encountered something terrifying. A girl crying by the street. She had no face. No face." As Try nervously described the bizarre incident, the food vendor looked up at him with a concerned expression, saying, "What's wrong, young man? Are you scared of something like that?" Having learned from his previous encounter, Try's instincts were sharper. He immediately sensed something was wrong. Terror flooded his heart once more as he looked at the vendor's face. There was no face, just a dark void. Nothing but emptiness. The chill from the darkness, so much horror in such a short time, made his heart feel like it would explode. "No, no way!" Try cried out, but his weak and trembling voice only amplified the terror of the night. He tried to back away, but was powerless against the demonic presence before him. "Is my face beautiful?" the man asked in a hoarse, sinister voice, with a strange, twisted smile. In a swift, mysterious move, he took away Try's face. The excruciating pain caused Try to collapse to the ground, screaming in helplessness and paralysis. Each breath became shallow, but the pain only intensified. Try felt his face being torn apart, bloodied. In the darkness, the man's sobbing filled with despair was a harbinger of hopelessness, and right before him was an inescapable doom.